Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I'm the founder and president of Ubiquity University, and I want to welcome you to this dialogue that I'm having with Dr. Pier Luigi Lattuada, who's the founder of the Integral Transpersonal Institute in Milan, Italy, with which we have an academic partnership to provide an integral transpersonal psychology program to our students. Pier Luigi is an old friend of mine. We met a number of years ago at a Eurotas conference. And in fact, today we're in a conference center south of Paris, again at Eurotas, which is a network of the integral and transpersonal communities in Europe. So Pier Luigi, welcome. And I thought the best place to start would be for you to just provide a background about yourself and what led you into the integral transpersonal domain and how you came to found the Integral Transpersonal Institute in Milan.
Hi, Jim. Hi, everybody. Yes, it's a long story. I started to study medicine. I am doctor. I wanted to be psychiatrist, but when I entered the psychiatry, I saw that was not possible. Then I became psychotherapist, and I wanted to be psychotherapist, but I saw that something was missing. Then I met the Brazil with the concept of trance, with the shamanism, and I started to develop a methodology, was named biotrans energetics, that is a transpersonal, integral transpersonal methodology to get the self-realization, working with the forces of nature, working with the archetypes, and working with the state of consciousness. And the methodology is part of the integral transpersonal vision, which was creating in these 10, 20 years as a sort of, we can say, transcend and include the integral and the transpersonal, because the intent of the integral transpersonal vision is to help the people to get this place where you are aware that the life is integral, that the life is transpersonal, that the human experience is transpersonal, means go beyond our ego, and is integral means that is lived with all our bodies, not just with the mind, not just with the body, but with all our bodies. And in this process, in Italy, we have a training in psychotherapy accredited by the Minister of University and the counseling training. And this training are very, very close to the philosophy of ubiquity, to the idea of ubiquity. And when we met with Jim, we saw that we had a lot of things to do together. And this idea of integral transpersonal program was born, and we set up all the program, bachelor, master, and PhD, to provide exactly a learning system that helps the person not just to get the knowledge of the integral transpersonal vision, but to realize an integral transpersonal life.
What do you mean by integral and transpersonal, and how do you bring them together as a single integral transpersonal learning experience?
Yes, this is an interesting process, because I can say that I started to speak in holistic in 1982, and what I saw was that a lot of persons speak of holistic and then after in integral without knowing exactly the meaning of integral. I saw many people putting together things to get the integral vision, but what I felt inside, then what I know is that integral is already together. Means that we can't put together things. We have to be aware that things are integral. To get the integrality, the wholeness of something, we have to enter the state of consciousness that get this integrality. And also, etymologically, integral means not touched. So I saw that if you want to have an integral experience, we have to disappear to ourselves. We have to just be and get the integrality of things. And in this part that transpersonal comes, because transpersonal means to me a way of being that go beyond the ego and get the state of consciousness able to grasp the unity. So integral is a vision, integral is an epistemological framework of the unity of the experience, and transpersonal is the way to get it. We can say the experience and the capacity to organize the experience in an integral way. For that, to me, integral and transpersonal cannot be divided.
You speak a lot, Pier Luigi, about trance. And in your shamanic work, you lead people into a trance state. Could you talk a little bit about what you mean by trance and why in your work trance is an integral part of the integral transpersonal experience?
Yes, this is also a good question. First, I have to say that trance with the S is a term, common term in Brazilian, in Portuguese, in Brazilian tradition. People say, I enter a trance, to say that they had a strong emotion. So it's a common term into the language in Brazil. So I got this term to explain that, to explain not just the shamanic trance, which means the altered state of consciousness, but to say that we always are in trance, means that trance became a core of my epistemological view, means trance is the unity of the experience. When I get an experience, the part of this experience are me, you, and the field around. There is no possibility to divide me from you and from the field. So we can speak about relation is something that reduces our experience, because a relation is two, is me and you. But when we are having a relation, we are not just me and you. We are me and you and the field around us. Yeah. And this field is full of essence, full of spirit, full of archetypes, full of qualities, full of anything, you know? So having the concept of trance as a basis of your experience, you know that everything is a dialogue, not just with the person or the thing that you are in relation, but also with the field that is around you.
What are some of the techniques that you use to lead people into a trance state so that they have an experience of the I and the thou in the field?
Yes, yes. We in biotrance energetic we have a lot of practice, around 100 practices, but we can divide them in mindfulness practice, in self-healing practice, self-mastery practice, we can say, and therapeutic practice. So we can, first, we help the person to be connected, to be aware. So the most important practice is passage to the zero, passage from the zero. So help the people to to be aware that they are already at home, to be aware that we ever are at the source of life, we ever are living into the self, and that is the self that is working, as is thinking, is feeling, and is doing. When we de-identify and disappear to ourselves. So getting the zero is one of the most important practice. Also, we have a shamanic side of the world, which is when I get the zero, when I expand my consciousness, I start feeling that there are different energies working in that field. These different energies we can organize in archetypes as the element of nature, the force of the earth, the force of the fire, the force of the air, and so on. And mastering this dialogue, this trance with the forces of nature, for example, with the shamanic journey, for example, with the sacred movement, for example, with the sacred breathing, with sacred touch, we can master the quality of the different forces of nature. In that way, we integrate in ourselves these qualities, and we grow as person, and we self-realize ourselves. These are some of the practices.
It's very, very interesting. I would love to hear more about what that means. For example, when you relate to air or earth or fire or water, what are the different characteristics that emerge out of those different interactions with, let's just say, the four elements?
Yes, we can think in some different ways. We can think to the element as archetype, as I said, as Jung does, as the ancient tradition say, and or we can think to these elements as forces, spiritual forces, and this means that first, working with the force, we can get what in Brazilian tradition is said the axé, or in the North American is said the mana. You know, we can get the spiritual force of the element of nature. We can get the connection with the anima mundi, the connection with the force of life through the contact with the element. This is one of the most important things. Means that the elements or the archetype are alive, are living forces working with us. Then we can, working with these, connecting with the shared, the spiritual power of the forces, we can recognize the different qualities. So we can reduce to understand as the element or the archetypes as constellation of qualities. For example, working with the air, we can get the freedom, we can get the lightness, we can get the incessant movement, but it's different, for example, of the movement of the waves, of the sea side, of the ocean. The movement of the ocean is coming and going, is the two making one, but different of the movement of the air, for example. So working with the ocean, the sea water, we can get the quality of the regeneration, of the fluidity, of the acceptance, of the creativity. Working with the force of the Mother Earth, we can get the confidence, the acceptance, the compassion. Imagine the compassion of the mother. Imagine the river flowing and the mother accepting the river. Being as the mother is, stay in front of the river is means to develop a unconditional love. So we can say, would be good, could be good to be loving in unconditional way, but how to do that? If we enter in trance with the earth, we can get the quality. We can learn from the Mother Earth how to be compassionate, how to be confident. And so, working with the fire, we can get the passion, the enthusiasm for life, the creativity to get anything, the determination. Working with the metal inside the Mother Earth means working with the determination, with the intent. We all need the intent to do things, but how to get the intent, the force to explain, to put out our intent, being in contact with the weather inside, being in contact with the metal, and so on. Any force of the nature has quality, as a pantheon of quality, a constellation of quality, and we can enter in trance with them to get these forces and to learn how to integrate in our personality these forces.
That's a beautiful vision of uniting humanity with nature, and that relationship is the trance state. If you think about it at that larger, I would say primordial level.
Yes.
I think that leads to a question in my mind. How do you in your work connect this primordial vision with individuals who are caught up in the stress, the trauma, the alienation, all the pressures of urban life in a hyper-modern context? How does trans bioenergetics connect the ancient with the modern in a way that's healing, in a way that's therapeutic?
Yes. This is also important. We can say that biotrans energetics help you to transform any problem into resource, any ambush into ally, as Castaneda would say. Means when the person comes with a problem, they are speaking to me of the shadow of some forces of nature, of the shadow of some archetypes. For example, if I come and I am stressed for my 10 hours work per day and on front of a laptop, means that I am not connected with the Mother Earth. This is the shadow of the connection with the Earth. So I start from this, inviting the person to be in contact with this stress, to get the true nature of this stress. And if you stay in contact enough, we stay in contact not just because I speak to you about my stress, and I ask the people, where are you? This is the integral part of the work. Speak to me about your stress. Where are you feeling the stress in your body? Start with the body and then into the energy, and then which emotion is given to you, and which kind of thinking are arising, and which kind of vision could come. So I invite the person to be in contact with the stress, the effect of the stress in all your bodies, which I call organismic self. Then, being in contact, you can, as I told you, you can get the shadow of the force, which is the force you need to do this, to overcome this stress. maybe, as I said, expand your consciousness and feel that Mother Earth is down and is sustaining you, and you are not aware of that. Stay, let your stress, your tension go to the offer to the Mother, and let the Mother give to you that force, the same force that brings the trees up is here now in this moment, for example. Or if the person come and say, my stress, or I have a problem, I don't know what to do, what to say with my colleague or so. So I help him to enter in contact with the red force, the force of the warrior, the force of the intellect, that knows in any moment what to do. And so we transform the shadow, the problem, as a shadow of the archetype. Because if it's true that we always are in trance, we are all in a balanced trance, harmonic trance, or in unbalanced and chronicized trance. So I help the person to transform the chronicized trance, unbalanced, into harmonic and balanced trance, transforming the shadow of the archetype through the quality into the light of the archetype, the force of the archetype.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And I would say to any of our listeners, if there's anyone who has interest in anything that Pier Luigi has laid out about the relationship between individuals within the context of the larger ecosystem, the larger field, and you want to explore a deeper layers of integral and transpersonal and the transbioenergetic domain, you can go to our website at ubiquityuniversity.org or the ITI Integral Transpersonal Institute in Milan, Italy. You can receive information. If you're a psychotherapist or you're a coach and you've completed certifications at an institute that doesn't happen to be academically accredited, we will accept your studies as credit toward a BA completion degree. If you have a BA degree and you've done additional work, we will give you life experience credit toward a master's or a PhD degree. We have a very dynamic group of students that are exploring very, very interesting and audacious dissertations in the general field of integral transpersonal psychology. So we welcome you to join us. Pier Luigi, in closing, do you want to say anything about the program, about the various courses or lines of study that students would have available to them in this integral transpersonal psychology program?
We are building up this course, which a very wide and large span of courses, starting from the history of transpersonal and integral psychology, from the clinical psychology to go to the ecopsychology, to ethnopsychiatry, to work with the body, to work with the forces of nature, and there are a lot of courses which want to offer a very large opportunity to journey into this integral and transpersonal world.
Thank you so much, Pier Luigi. It's a privilege and an honor to be on this journey with you. And I look forward, everyone, to any inquiries that you may want to make into the Ubiquity University program with the Integral Transpersonal Institute of Milan, Italy. Thank you, everyone.
You are welcome. The honor is mine. thank you to you, and we are waiting for you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.